My name is Laura Pearson. I'm a Scottish ceramic artist living in Japan. I've got two boys that love adventuring and love art.
What is that?
We are lucky enough to live in a beautiful place surrounded by nature, and this is where I get most of my inspiration.
There's something here.
And here I am, documenting my inspirations in a new way. I would love to introduce you to my work and my thought process. From my home studio in Shonan, Kamakura, I make functional ceramics with natural textures and organic forms. I feel it is important to create intimate experiences between the vessel and the user. One way I found effective in doing this was through touch. The organic textures in my pieces, I hope, bring about feelings of satisfaction and peace, similar to that of being out in nature. Though they are textured and sometimes rock-like in formation, I work very hard to carve them out so they are light and satisfying to hold. Ocean Ridge Kiln is a collection of mostly ceramics for the home, connected to nature in some way. Whether it be in form or design influence, I love being brought back to my natural environment, and that is what I wanted to offer others. I think it is important to have items that you love to help you experience the daily routines that you enjoy. So say for example you love coffee. Isn't it important to have a connection with the mug that you use every day for that ritual? What if also just touching that mug could bring you back to nature through its organic form and textures? This is what I want to do for people. And also it's nice to know who made the things that you use every day. And it's nice to know that they made this unique thing for you. As I mentioned, nature is a big influence for me. And I'm really lucky to have the sea and mountains right on my doorstep. That's why I stuck with the name Ocean Ridge Kiln, but there's actually another reason for that as well, which you can read about on my website. My process is actually influenced by Japanese antique ceramics, and more specifically the tebineri or hand-molded chawan by raku masters. Chawan are tea bowls used specifically for the Japanese tea ceremony. I am self-taught and I didn't want to use the exact same process that they use, as I'm not trying to be a Japanese raku master. I adapted the process to make my own art pieces. Every piece I make has to be functional. It has to be easy to use. It has to be an experience to use. I love when a customer tells me their experiences with these things I've spent a lot of time forming and creating, packaging and photographing. And hearing your work is appreciated and used by someone and they love it is the best feeling. It's a bit complicated actually. I started out as a fashion designer and patterner. I studied textiles and performance costume in Scotland. And then I moved into fashion when I graduated and moved to Beijing and started working as a freelance fashion designer. I then moved to Hong Kong and then back to London. And then finally we moved to Japan. At the start of the pandemic, I wanted to learn something new and I wanted to use the time that I had at home wisely. So that's when all of this started. As soon as I touched clay, I was hooked. I have an obsession with being able to bring something from initial sketch to completion. When I was working in fashion, I made the initial sketch I made the patterns, I actually made the garments and I sold them. So I was going through the whole process. I find that doing this in clay is a lot more immediate and it's very gratifying. My next project is to incorporate my sewing and textiles background and offer some other unique homewares. So stay tuned for that. Well, for starters, I love Japan and I've learned so much here. And I was utterly inspired by Japanese design, even before I moved here. I find there is a little bit of a barrier for me as people already have a strong connection to ceramics in Japan. There is a long history of so many different kilns and styles in Japan. I get asked a lot, what yaki is my pottery, as in what type of ceramic from Japan, or what kiln area is it produced in? And I don't really have an answer to this, as I'm just making my own art and producing my own things. It just isn't on people's radar that a Scottish lady might be making ceramics in Japan for the love of it. But I keep putting myself out there, and I live for those moments when people get it and they really connect with my work. Outside of Japan, it's a given that studio potters exist and that they produce their own style of work. So maybe there is more of an immediate understanding there. But I'm producing lesser known utensils. For example, chawan, which are mainly used in Japan. So maybe there's a barrier of understanding there too. I just want to bring these specifically Japanese experiences to the world. I want to be a cross-cultural provider of routines and experiences, as it were. Well, actually quite a few. I find routines bring me joy. I'm studying the way of tea, Urasenki style, or Cha-no-yu. This is a big one for me right now. It's also the most high stakes routine. It seems like an endless stream of knowledge to be learned. But for me, it's the most important one, as it brings together all the other interests and hobbies and routines that I've learned. For example, mindfulness when drinking a beverage. For the tea ceremony, it's obviously matcha, but I try to do this whilst I have my morning coffee as well. My heart rate is at the lowest throughout the day during these times when I take a moment to stop and enjoy these things. The tea ceremony also uses specific ceramic utensils, so this obviously relates to my pottery and also my obsession with experiencing utensils and ceramics in a different way and appreciating their value. I also enjoy nature, as I mentioned before, and the tea ceremony allows me to appreciate it further through the seasons and through plant significance and things like that. Every week I go out into nature and I search for new wild blooms that I can use in my arrangements for the tea ceremony and around my house. I always find new flowers that I didn't know about before, and seriously, you should see me during this routine. I'm just walking around smiling the whole time, finding these beautiful flowers that I can use in my arrangements. Anyway, these are some of my most important routines. Also, I need to make all the time. I need to make things. I feel lost if I can't make things. So I've worked for quite a few independent creators, some really talented, strong businesswomen, all of whom have inspired me and I've really enjoyed working for, and I miss working for them. Now is my time to be like them and put into practice what I learned from them. Really, I just want to provide for my family, doing what I love. I mean, doesn't everyone want to do that? I also want to grow my offering and affect people's lives in a positive way through what I can produce. I never want to stop learning and improving and evolving. Wherever I am, I want to be connected to creative communities through what I do. I just want to continue creating. I hope I have been able to communicate my love for what I do and my inspirations. Since the pandemic, I have forced myself to learn as much as possible. During a very sheltered existence, I learned pottery, improved my photography skills, improve my website building skills, improve my selling skills in a foreign language. I am learning the tea ceremony and about Japanese and Chinese ceramics. And now I am working on my video production skills. All this whilst being the best mother, wife and homemaker I can possibly be. I may not be the best at any one of these things, but doing them has kept me sane. These videos are a way for me to cement what I have learned in my head and connect to a community that shares my interests. I would love to hear your thoughts, so send me a message.